control what happens in adult basic ed, and that's why we would like to have passage of this legislation.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Bridget Quinn, and I'm here from SEIU Local 509. And as Roberta just so eloquently stated, that this is going to be a non-traditional type union. This is folks coming together who really want to have a collective voice at the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. We would be bargaining directly with the commissioner. And obviously, any sort of changes in structure, rate of pay would be subject to appropriation by the legislature. So this bill doesn't cost anything. I just wanted to point that out. And if we've gotten some questions regarding what this would mean for the members. They would not become state employees. That is not the goal or the intended outcome of this legislation. So they would continue to be, separate from employees of the Commonwealth.
Thank you. Any questions? No. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Archie, Paul, anybody else want to come up?
Good afternoon, Chairman Murphy, Chairman Timilty, members of the committee and staff. For the record, my name is Paul Jakes, Legislative Agent for the Professional Firefighters of Massachusetts. To my left is Archie Gormley, also Legislative Agent for the Professional Firefighters of Massachusetts. John Sorrow, Legislative Agent for Boston Firefighters Local 718. And to my right is Michael Riley, also Legislative Agent for Boston Firefighters Local 718. We have submitted written testimony, so in the interest of time for the committee, we won't read through the list of bills, but we do ask that you report them out favorably. We'd like to speak on one bill, House Bill 3878, an act relative to firefighters in the town of Concord. On behalf of Concord Firefighters Local 1942, we have submitted written testimony and ask that you also report that out favorably. Thank you. We do have opposition as well to House Bill 3907 from the governor, an act to modernize municipal finance and government. Michael Riley is going to speak on that, but I'd just like to say a couple words myself. As you heard earlier, the civil service is broken and needs to be fixed. I just wish that there was as much effort given to fix civil service as there is to file bills such as this and from communities to get out of civil service. I really believe that if it was fixed and the money and stuff was put into it, that it would work as designed if all parties involved. It was also mentioned earlier that civil service places barriers for cities and towns. Those barriers, as they were so called, we look at them as a process for fair hiring and fair protections for our members. And so I won't want to steal Mike's thunder, or John's thunder, but that's just what I had to say on that. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chairman Murphy, Chairman Timilty. My name is John Sorrow. I am one of the legislative representatives for Local 718, Boston Firefighters. Today we supplied written testimony. In the time of interest, we like to defer from reading the long list of bills that we support, but we would ask for the committee to favorably report them favorably out of committee, please. Thank you.
And last but not least, good afternoon, Chairman Murphy. Thank you for this opportunity to testify. I actually have pretty good testimony in my head, but listening to Senator Donnelly and Jesse, they kind of said it all. Just to kind of reiterate a little bit, on the record, my name is Michael Riley, Legislative Agent for Boston Firefighters Local 718, and we would like to go on the record as being in opposition to House Bill 3907 and in particular the civil service piece. As Paul said, and it was alluded to earlier in testimony, probably the only thing I agreed with the administrator from Burlington is that civil service is broken. It's sometimes, I know it can be frustrating to deal with, but and hopefully, as Senator Donnelly said, we can get the committees together and even some end users who take those promotional exams and the entrance exams and try to figure it out and put a better product out there. But I also do believe, in my opinion, that this is a ruse, like Jess said, to get out from underneath the absolute veterans preference. And also one important piece that Jess alluded to that we really haven't heard much about is the survivor piece. You know, currently right now in the civil service law, if you're a son or a daughter of a fireman or cop or public safety officer who is killed or 100% disabled in the line of duty, which would mean to be responding to, working at, or returning from, you know, a specific incident, you get survivor benefits. You go to a top of a survivor list. You also lose that. So we need to protect our veterans. We need to protect our survivors, and hopefully that this will get a negative report out negatively. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Archie?
Mr. Chairman, I guess I am least, since he said he's not last but least. But thank you for allowing me to speak in front of you, and thank you for serving on this great committee. As we've said, we have a long list we support. We'd ask them to come out favorably, but we have to strongly oppose the Governor's Act to modernize municipalities. To me, it's not an act to modernize, it's an act to crush the employees of those municipalities. And that's the way I feel at this point. By taking away civil service, it's basically, how can I say it? They get to appoint whoever they want to those positions. As they state, whether you get a 70 or an 80, or if you're a veteran or not, they'll bring you to the next step, okay? Well, the next step may be off the table, out the door, in the trash. Doesn't mean they're gonna follow through with anything. I've seen that all too well in different areas. So we strongly oppose that, and as we do other items in the Governor's modern municipalities and that. So I thank you for your time. I can go on, but I will not. And again, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Representative?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sorry I stepped out during our service testimony. I'm sure I would have had some insight. I guess the two things I would appreciate, though, is, because we've spoken offline about how to fix civil service and ideas, maybe attracting people who are in college or are studying public service, safety type stuff. They should be taking the exam to increase the pool. I'd love to see if you guys, you said you could have more lists of issues with the governor's bill. I'd like to see that. I mean, if you could do written testimony, because I'm trying to understand all sides of the issue, and I think that, so the civil service piece is, as well, obviously, we understand on that, but look at those retirement benefit issues. Some of them probably are good for municipalities, maybe not good for members. It is a balancing act, so I would encourage you to submit some more written testimony so we can have both sides of the issue. So if we are going to even work on that bill and move it in any way, the only way we're going to be able to fix things is if we have some ideas.
Absolutely,
So
yes.
I would personally appreciate it, and I'm sure the committee would as well. But if you do have some real solid ideas, maybe you have a tweak or fix, I would really appreciate it.
Okay,
Thank you.
we will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ready? Yeah. If anybody else hasn't signed in, unless it's on the sheet I don't have, this is the end of the sheets I have. Does anybody want to testify that doesn't? No? Anybody else? There's going to be a couple more, Mr. Chairman. Okay. All right, sounds good. Gentlemen?
Chairman, members of the committee, for the record, my name is Randy McGrath. I represent the National Association of Government Employees and the International Brotherhood of Police Officers. We signed off at the end because we had so many bills we were going to talk about, but we wish we'd signed off at the beginning because so much was talked about. But we do have a list. We'll give it to the committee on bills that we support, particularly dealing with collective bargaining issues that are before you. But the one bill you've heard a lot about is House 3907, which is obviously something we were going to speak against for the most part. Not every part, but for the most part. First of all, the section in here that deals with the OPEB, the cost of retiree health insurance, and how cities and towns address that issue. We think it's a premature issue currently because the rules and the guidelines have not even been developed by GASB or OPEB to determine how it's going to affect it. And it's one of those issues like a mortgage. It costs you money, yes, but do you have to spend it all right now? And where does the money come from to put into the OPEB funds? It comes from the pot, which every city and town you're going to be hearing from in the next couple of months doesn't have enough money to begin with. So then they're going to cry that they don't have the money. One of the speakers spoke earlier about a bill you did last year, and you brought attention to the fact that it was the lady from the Mass Municipal Association that you did a bill last year to try to address the issue, and they're coming back this year to further address the issue. And I've been here for 30 years. I've had experience listening to the Mass Municipal Association, and that seems to be their mantra. They'll come in today for one thing, and they'll try to expand it later. That doesn't deal with this particular bill. Mr. Cronin, I believe his name was, from the administration. He got up here, and his first comments were his name, obviously, and then he said he had 17 years of experience in municipal or government service. I don't think he said municipal government service, in 1 year with the governor. Well, I got 35 years of service in municipalities. I served on the city council of the city of Worcester. I served on the Civic Center Commission in the city of Worcester. I was on the retirement board in the city of Worcester. So I've got a lot of experience as well as it relates to municipal government and how it functions and how it runs. And the process of the civil service system. When I became a police officer in 1970, I took the test in February. February 15th of 1970, I took the test to become a police officer. I'm not a veteran. I took the test on October 11th, 1970. I was appointed to the Worcester Police Department. So you think, February to October. That's how civil service ran when it ran properly. You took your test, you went through your process, you were vetted by the city or the town, you got your scores, you did all your things. That's when civil service, and I think a lot of people here were talking about, it's not the civil service system, it's the way it's operated, the way it's administered, or funded is basically the bottom line. So I think it does work if you have it. It was created by a Republican president prior to his presidency. Well, it was actually created by a Republican president, and the first civil service commission in the United States was a guy named Teddy Roosevelt. A president was killed because of public corruption. A man who wanted to become a postal worker didn't get the job. He was a veteran. He shot the president and killed him. And they said, we got to do something. We got to create a system that protects the public from political interference in the operation of government, in the hiring of people. So they created the Civil Service Commission. Like I said, Teddy Roosevelt was the first Civil Service Commissioner in the United States. Massachusetts came along right thereafter. So civil service works if you want it to. The governor's bill, however, I find a little disingenuous. So I want to just read one thing, if I might. If I can, I forgot my glasses. We are proud tonight, we are joined here tonight by Corporal John Dawson's parents and Gunnery Sergeant Tom Sullivan's parents. Last year, they both lost their lives in the service of our country. This is from a speech last Thursday night. Every man and woman who serves in combat are special, and their families serve as well. Your presence reminds us what service, sacrifice, and loss is really all about. And really that's why veterans have preference. Exactly what the governor said. Yet, he filed a bill that eliminates that recognition in its almost entirety because cities and towns don't want to have to deal with the bill. I noticed that the Burlington town manager gave a nice explanation as to how they processed their new testing system. And how he talked about the 271 people who applied for the job and how they broke it down and broke it down and broke it down till they got 17 people out of 271. And then they broke it down further. And they had one guy, and it sounded like a great guy. He was a Muslim. He spoke 3 languages. He went into the Marine Corps, but for medical reasons, he didn't become a veteran. So they really wanted to get that guy. And he did get hired by them. But know what he didn't mention? Of the ones they did hire, how many were veterans? He talked about the veterans. He talked about everybody that applied. But he never mentioned how many veterans they hired out of the 7 or 10, whatever they hired. He never mentioned that word. So if he went through all of that effort to describe how they went through this process and how they had this equity and fairness And he talked about a woman as well, a female police officer. But he never mentioned if they hired a veteran. So I wonder, did they hire a veteran? Or were all their candidates non-veterans? I don't know. I haven't got the answer. But to me, it seemed a little disingenuous that he went through all of that process but never mentioned who was actually hired at the end, veteran or non-veteran. Veterans deserve attention. They deserve their rights. But civil service is not created for veterans. But civil service was created to protect the public from the political arm of the government at the time. And that's what it's for. I believe in the protection of veterans. I believe in the protection of disabled veterans. I believe in the hiring process thereof. But I also believe that that's not the real foundation of civil service. The real foundation of civil service is protecting all the people that you work for, that I used to work for, and that all public servants work for, the people. Not every state has civil service, but Massachusetts happens to be one that does. And I think it's done a wonderful job in its protection of the rights of the people. It's done a wonderful job in providing excellent officers, female, male, firefighters, correctional officers. It's a thing that protects the people from basically the people. But it is necessary. Let's fund civil service. That's the way to go. Let's not ignore civil service. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, and distinguished staff. I am here, as Ray said, we are going to be submitting a number of bills that we support, mostly support, but there were a group of bills that we did want to go on the record relative to the MWRA, and I would be remiss if I didn't ask you all to keep in your thoughts and prayers 5 NAGE members who went to the hospital yesterday as a result of the explosion out in Quincy. And I think there are 3 issues that we bring before this committee every year relative to the MWRA, and I think at moments like this, it really allows us to sort of shed a little light and sort of remind everybody that these are dangerous jobs, particularly when we talk about retirement and the Group 2 piece, which was heard back in May. But the 2 pieces before you today have to do with collective bargaining, obviously have to do with the management rights clause. There are 5 bills that basically seek to accomplish 2 goals. House 2247, 2248, and Senate 1412 seek to, right now under the management rights piece, the management has unilateral authority for hiring, promotions, and terminations. This language, along with just cause, which is the second piece of this, they do not have a just cause provision in the enabling statute. And those bills are House Bill 2244 and Senate Bill 1410. These 2 provisions were modeled when the enabling statute was passed back in 1984. This was modeled on the MBTA. It was the only enabling statute, the only group of employees that did not have the ability to bargain over these things, did not have just cause protection. I will mention and say for the record that since then, the MBTA's issue has been remedied. Right now, the MWRA, to our knowledge, are the only employees that have this inequity, whereas all other employees in the Commonwealth are on an equal footing. So we would ask you to please report these bills out favorably and put the MWRA employees on an equal footing. Thank you.
Thank you. And my thoughts and prayers are with you. Employees great in Quincy yesterday. What's the status of the employees?
We haven't heard much other than we've heard the employees are doing pretty well and they're still trying to get to the bottom of what happened. That was the last update we got this morning.
Yeah, we don't often think of people that do those kinds of jobs. We think about police and firefighters constantly, and we should because that's what we see. But as we spoke to at the hearing previously, these are men and women that work down in holes underneath the ground, protecting the water sources of all of our cities and towns, but these are MWRA people. Dealing with chemicals, we don't even know what caused the explosion. It could have been a chemical fire, whatever. So it's always terrible to have this thing happen, but it does bring to light that there's so much more in public safety than just the guys in the blue cars and the red trucks. there's other people that provide a lot of great service that are public safety officers.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, Chairman.
Michael, Mike, you want to have anybody testify?
Yes, we have a couple of folks from the Boston teaching union that
Okay.
missed the opportunity in the earlier panels. and
Yeah.
Would like to speak to the committee.
So good afternoon. My name is Jessica Ting, and I'm the organizing director at the Boston Teachers Union, and I am here to testify in support of House Bill 2265 and Act to restore collective bargaining to designated schools and districts. And so there are actually dozens of teachers who wanted to be here today, particularly in our 2 level 5 schools, which are the schools that were taken over by the state and where they've lost collective bargaining rights. And one of the greatest negative impacts of the lack of collective bargaining rights that we learned about just from asking teachers to testify was just the fear of retaliation and fear of getting fired without any real due process, which is, again, a direct impact of the loss of collective bargaining rights in these schools. Thus, I am reading one testimony on behalf of teachers at our level 5 schools, and my colleague will read another, and then we'll submit the rest that were given to us. So this testimony is from a special education teacher at a level 5 school, the Holland, in Boston. So I'm a special education teacher at a level 5 school. I'm unable to take time away from teaching to attend today's hearing, but on behalf of myself and my colleagues, I thank you for investigating this important matter. The lack of collective bargaining rights at my school has affected our ability to educate and advocate for our students. First, as you might expect, we are paid less to work more. The starting salary for an entry-level teacher at my school is $54,000, just marginally above BPS's starting salary. However, at my school, we work 2 to 3 extra weeks in the summer, and we work 3 extra hours every day. When you add this up, we receive a significantly lower hourly wage than our counterparts in true public schools. In addition to our long hours, we regularly miss our planning time and our lunch to attend mandatory meetings, provide substitute coverage, or supervise our classes at lunch, recess, or school events. Some of our paraprofessionals, including those who instruct small groups, are not entitled to planning blocks. Many have struggled to secure a regular lunch break. Neither teachers nor paras are compensated for missing time. Our working conditions, over which we have no say, stipulate that we may, in rare circumstances, miss lunch or planning. In reality, this happens multiple times per week. Additionally, we have restrictions over our time off. August professional development days and testing days are considered blackout dates, meaning that staff are not permitted to take a personal day and may be subject to investigation if they call out sick. This encourages an unhealthy school environment for students and teachers. Even more importantly, our lack of collective bargaining results in our students and families losing their rights. We have no say in class sizes, which are based on a middle school model. In 2nd grade, our 7-year-olds are crammed into classes with as many as 26 students, including students with disabilities and English language learners, when the district cap is only 22. During special classes like art and music, sub-separate students join regular education classes, leading to as many as 28 students in a 2nd grade class, decreasing all students' ability to learn. There's little room for faculty or parent voice in policy changes. Our school site council plays only an advisory role and is not consistently informed about major school changes such as updated discipline policies. As teachers, we find ourselves implementing discipline systems that many of us believe violate students' rights, such as isolation periods and loss of recess due to talking in the hallways or forgetting to wear a belt. We can have extra duties added to our job descriptions at any time. Paraprofessionals this year are mandated to perform uniform checks to inspect student attire. Some paraprofessionals expressed feeling very uncomfortable about this duty, which is not written in any official working conditions, but they were told they must do it regardless. My colleagues and I want the best for our students. Without collective bargaining, we have little ability to advocate for those whom we serve. I hope you'll consider restoring collective bargaining rights at level 5 schools.
Thank you for having us. Just for the record, my name is Jonathan Rodriguez. I'm an organizer with the Boston Teachers Union. Here reading testimony from a teacher from the Paul A. Dever Elementary School in Dorchester. To whom it may concern, this is my 2nd year as a full-time teacher at the Paul A. Dever Elementary School. It is my goal to be a teacher for my entire life. However, after 2 years at the Dever, I am finding that goal to be more and more impossible every day. It is my students that make me want to come to school every day. It is our talented and remarkable staff that help me get through my day at the Dever. Many people who are writing statements today will tell you that they are unhappy, and that is for so many reasons. My heart breaks a little bit each day for the incredible students who deserve to have educators who are not made to feel like they are worthless, who are not deflated after meetings where they are told that their opinions and teaching experience do not matter. Teachers at the Dever are spoken to and treated so poorly. We are critiqued and criticized for our work, but never given support or feedback when we have tirelessly asked for it. I do feel that our principal has, on more than one occasion, tried to change our climate at our school. However, she has been swayed or denied ability by our receivership blueprint. In a school such as Endeavor, experienced teachers are needed to help turn around the school by using their expertise and experiences. There are a handful of people that are making all of the decisions for our school, and when those decisions prove unsuccessful, the blame is put on the classroom teachers. The decisions that are being made for us have created extra hours of work on top of a long extended school day, which are not compensated nearly enough for. Lastly, the lack of clear communication is without a doubt one of the most frustrating aspects of Endeavor. Administrators do not communicate and are often not on the same page. Emails are not responded to even after being told we need to wait 48 hours for a response. And meetings are scheduled and made mandatory after school hours with very little notice. Blueprint initiated a survey system to get teachers' opinions on changes happening at the school. And despite the results of the survey, changes are being made that were never presented in the surveys given. Just another example of how teachers are made to feel they are not valued or respected. It is my hope that Endeavor will one day provide students with a successful learning environment. However, at this time, that is the last thing that is occurring at this school. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's it for the list today. Anybody else want to testify?
Yes, I'd like to testify.
Okay. Come on up.
Hi, my name is Kim Lamper, and I teach career readiness classes for adult immigrants at a community center in Chinatown. And I'm here to speak in support of H3390, an act to improve adult basic education access and quality. Right now, the state doesn't take adult education as seriously as it does K through 12. About 70% of the positions in adult education are part-time, and most pay between $17 and $23 an hour. I can tell you that as an adult ed teacher, the future of my career does not look bright. I would love to go back and get a master's degree, but I really can't afford it on my salary. There's no system to reimburse tuition, and I won't be paid more if I get a master's degree. H3390 would help raise standards in adult ed and ultimately result in better quality education for students. It would allow adult educators in positions funded by the State Department of Elementary and Secondary Education to form a union and bargain for a contract with DESE, the State Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. Although adult educators work in positions at different schools and community organizations across the state, DESE is the one that really sets the workload, the salary range, and the standards for the whole field for all of us. That's why we need this non-traditional union, so we can bargain with them directly in order to get real professional development, higher expectations, and better working conditions across the field. Recently, one of my career readiness students met her career goal and got a job as a room attendant in a union hotel starting at $19.36 an hour. And yet, just imagine a lot of my colleagues in adult ed make less than that, and they have bachelor's and master's degrees. This student has a high school education and limited English proficiency. So just compare that my colleagues with bachelor's and master's degrees are making less than what our students are making. And so that's why we need this bill and the right to form our own union. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, how do you go from here? Just one. Sean King with Massachusetts Teachers Association. Very quickly, just wanted to be recorded as being in favor of House 2395, an act further regulating the right to strike of public employees. This is one of the bills that our Committee on Government Relations asked that we work on and support, and we've worked with Representative Rushing on redrafting the language to bring it up to date, and we ask your consideration.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Walsh?
John Coleman, lost from actress. First of all, Ralph White can't be here, but I know he'd want me to thank you and the other members of the committee for the passage of the Prim bill, which is very important to us. Secondly, we really haven't had a chance to look at the governor's bill on the 3907, but we'll send written testimony in later on.
Sounds good.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. Give our best to Ralph.
Yes, I will.
Anybody else? That's it. Let's get a motion to close the hearing. Seconded, all those in favor? Aye, opposed, no. That closes today's hearing. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.